Hello and welcome to Building the Premier Accounting Firm. I'm your host, Roger Knecht, president of Universal Accounting Center. And for more than 20 years, nearly 3 decades now, I've been working with accounting firms to actually help them start and build successful businesses offering quality accounting services and, most importantly, getting paid what they're worth. It's in this process that we actually have on the show now experts, individuals coming on to share their insights as to what it is we can be doing to work on our business to, in fact, offer these quality services and, more importantly, do so successfully. It's here that we actually have these guests on to share what it is that they've learned over their careers and, more importantly, share their insights. So I'm excited to invite and have here on the show someone that I've been excited to speak with for some time. It's Irene Seelig. She is the CEO and co-founder of Account Groove, the #1 lead to paid system built exclusively for accounting firms. She helps firm owners stop undercharging, stop wasting time on bad fit clients, and build advisory practices that scale predictably. She is one who understands leadership and has helped, under her leadership, Account Growth, to actually grow to where they're servicing hundreds of firms, achieve 3 to 4x increases in average contract value, and lead to paid timelines of under 24 hours. So Irene, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Roger, for having me. I'm excited to be here with you and speak with you today.
Yeah, you have an excellent story, something that I'm excited to share. And one of the things that I think will be helpful is just kind of beginning with you having built a business, selling the business, and transitioning that over into the accounting space. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so Account Groove kind of got born through previous business. Me and my co-founder, we were running a tech firm, servicing brands like Adidas, Burberry, diving into consumer behavior, what would sell inside of e-commerces, and across all the data points that we saw, we wanted to distill this down to SMBs because through the process of selling that firm, of course, our accountant, our bookkeeper were highly critical to that sale. Couldn't have done it without them. And started noticing too in the shift of wanting to offer advisory and how to charge for that and how to find best fit clients that really can utilize their services, afford their services, and get all the value that they can provide. So we decided to dive into the accounting world. We loved the revolution that was happening there, so we wanted to help and push that forward and just give back to that accountant and bookkeeper that really helped us in our process, because we thought that the value that they gave to us was way undercharged. Maybe they're listening today, but I do think the value that they provide was just undercharged for the output that we ended up receiving from that sale. That's how kind of Account Groove got born, and we wanted to take, because of course brands like Adidas and Farfetch and Burberry, they have huge pockets of cash to be able to spend on what's going to work for their marketing, what's going to work for their sales, how are they going to convert their ideal customer. And when it comes to SMBs, they're kind of tinkering around trying to figure out what's going to work for me. And so we wanted to take that, data, utilize a system that's actually built for them at their size. And we'll dive more, I'm sure, into this when we talk more. But actually having a system that's built for accountants and where they're at, not huge, sales teams.
Of course. Well, let me go back to something you said about the sale of your previous business. You gave kudos to the accounting professionals that were actually part of that. I'd like to know, what was that you felt that the accounting did to contribute to the successful transaction? Obviously, the accounting is but a component of what they were buying, but it was useful information for them to make that valuation. So how did the accounting actually help in getting you, or helping sell the business, let's say?
Yeah. So of course, it wasn't, a process that happened of a matter of a month or so. This was a process that was going on for a year, 2 years. We had to get our books in order. Of course, they were already in order, but in terms of, really making sure that we had all the numbers accurate, knowing where we were at. Also, if we wanted to achieve for a higher valuation, how would we get there? What are the certain triggers that we would need to have in our business to be able to get there? And so obviously understanding your books, understanding and getting that insight from an accountant to be able to give you, okay, this is really where you should be focusing because this is what the numbers are telling you. The numbers don't lie, right?
Yep.
So they just gave us the best information to be able to move our ship of our business in the right direction so that we could have a higher valuation.
I love that. I do believe that accounting can lead to a higher valuation. So I appreciate you noticing that and giving reference to it. So let's now move over into what it is that you're doing with Account Groove. And there are a few questions I want to ask before we get into too many details. And it's partly this emphasis that you actually start with by saying that the firms are right now undercharging. Why is it that you feel that so many accountants are undercharging? It's a common theme. People bring it up all the time that they don't charge enough for their services. What is it that you believe causes that? And why do you believe that so many are?
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say, obviously, pricing is a lot of it is psychology, right?
Okay.
And thinking about it from a value perspective, opposed to, hey, these are my services. This is what I offer. If you're just trading your hours, a lot of accounting firms still, even if they're not, they're trying to do value based, like we see it all the time. We see firms trying to do value based billing, but they're still kind of bottom up, kind of trying to figure out, okay, am I covering the amount of hours, right? Because innately it's a service based business. You're kind of thinking, okay, I have maybe this many employees. This is how many hours it's going to take me. Okay, I'm roughly kind of covering what, the amount of work is going to be, right? So that's where a lot of folks kind of get into this hole of undercharging because they're still kind of thinking in that, hours mindset, even though they're
Yeah.
trying not to. So we kind of flip the script and say, okay, what are the services you're offering? But let's reframe that and look at your positioning, look at your value that you're providing. Let's also word it that way when you're building out your proposal. So we take hundreds of that data, thousands of data points across our platform. And instead of selling, off the data that we have, we actually are giving it back to our customers, our users, and helping them look at, okay, what is the highest conversion of a proposal? What is really driving that? So we'll take all that data and give it back. And then help them look at, okay, these are all the services that you're offering. This is really where your pricing should be at. And this is what we see it from a data perspective. So a lot of times, depending upon where accountants are in their journey, we'll kind of meet them where they're at so they don't feel like they're, jumping up way too high on things. I also see that as well, where, they've been told, oh, I should just start charging, 6,000, 10,000, whatever per month for my services. So we'll kind of meet with them where they're at and get them to a place. So we've had people, charging hourly at 150, and now they're, charging 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 per month, because also we talk a lot with accountants during our onboarding process about niching down. And then again, that's where the value piece comes in. If you can show value that you are that expert inside of that specific field, then of course people businesses are going to want to pay you more because you are that expert. You've done it time and time again. You know the ins and outs of their industry, and they can feel confident in the services you provide. So
You
that's
know,
another.
I appreciate you going into that detail because there's a few things that happen there. One, you answered my question, which is why do you feel people are undervaluing or underpricing their services? And clearly, as they're charging, that needs to be addressed. So that's something that you answered, but you went a step further and explained what it is that you're doing to try and help resolve that and help them transition so that they are being more profitable in what it is they're asking. And I think two things stood out to me. One, and this is something that I do with our clients as well, is it's first of all being very particular about what are the services that make up the engagement. Are they able to explain what the different elements are of the services being offered? And that way the client is able to, if necessary, pick and choose which package or service they're interested in paying for.
Yeah.
The second thing is properly associating with those features, those services that are being offered, not just what's done, but the benefits associated with those. And that's where you get some movement towards the value-based pricing that so many are interested in talking about. But to do so, you need to now give some value to that. And that's a dollar amount. And you have to say, this is what it's worth. This is what's going to cost you for me to perform this service in your behalf. So all of a sudden now, you're leveraging, as you explained, the AI and what other accounting firms are doing to actually help in preparing or creating that engagement. Is that a good summation of what it is you do?
Yeah, that's perfect. Summary of like what we do in terms of like the proposal and billing, and how we prepare folks to get the highest conversion for their proposals.
Yeah, I'm not in a silo just trying to figure this out
Yeah.
myself, reinvent the wheel. You're leveraging what other firms are doing as it relates to how they're packaging their services and how they're pricing those so that I likewise can be within what the industry is doing. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah. And then we're also looking, like I mentioned, niching. And so we'll not only look at, and so through our system and utilizing AI, not only looking at the services that you're offering, we'll also get an understanding of, okay, what niches are you in? Maybe you decided to stay kind of broad across three. We always say it's good because, again, being a lead to paid system, when it comes to the marketing side, we say you can, better leverage your marketing if you're niching down. So we always try and get accountants to think about that. And we've had tons and tons of accounting firms kind of switch over finally, and helping them in that process of niching down. But we'll also look at that from a value perspective. So for instance, we look at, doing 3 tiers using proven pricing, psychology, like 3 tiers, price anchoring, but even looking at how do you value frame the titles of those instead of doing, gold, silver, bronze. We always say that's reserved for if you're an Olympian, right? or a coin dealer or something like that. But why not look at those as actually points where you can showcase your value, showcase the outcome. So calling it core or essential growth scale. And then maybe for, an accountant who's focusing on dentists, call it chairside growth. So you're basically alluding to the dentist, hey, you stay by the chair, helping your clients. I will help out, grow your business from a financial standpoint, know where you should be going, and help steering where your dental practice should go. So that's what we love to do as well.
I love that example because I think that's a perfect explanation of what it is they ought to be doing as accounting firms look at how they package their services. You talked about the bundles. Clearly, there is this tendency to just kind of settle on gold, silver, and so forth. But you're taking it to that next level, which I've seen so many do, where they now take and yes, they've packaged or bundled them accordingly, but they now get creative and they come up with a name that is more descriptive of what that package really represents. And that's what you're illustrating there. So I think that's not only fun, it's a creative side of things, but it's very important because it actually helps with that decision-making process because the title itself can exhume so much of what it is that's being offered. And that client can say, that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for silver. I'm looking for that particular title that you've named that package. And that's one of the things that I think is very important to realize from this discussion. So thank you for that. Learn the turnkey process for starting and building a successful accounting business. It's in this course, so you'll actually experience 4 specific trainings. Part 1, your business plan, everything you need to know to get started. Part 2, how to price your services, the pros and cons of different methods, and the best way to price your services that are both profitable and professional. Marketing and selling your services so that you can actually be top of mind, but more importantly, how to actually be seen as a trusted strategic advisor. And last of all, mapping it all out. 5 principles in running a profitable business so that you can be both competent and confident in the services you're providing. Learn now what it is you can be doing to start and build your own successful accounting, bookkeeping, or tax business. Go to the episode description and there get the information you need to take advantage of this today. So the next thing that I wanted to do is one of the things that I know you speak of, and it's a talking point, is the fact that you feel accounting firms are wasting time with bad fit clients. And what I wanted to know is, first of all, why do you feel that they struggle with these bad fit clients? How did this come about? And what is it that you believe can be done to avoid that moving forward?
Yeah, so great question. We see this all the time where accounting firms have grown to a certain point, and a lot of accounting firms, I'm sure, as you know, they kind of build their business on the backbone of referrals, right? They start out, they get, someone coming through the door, they want the support, they want to grow their business, so then they take them on. Then they take on other clients within that referral network. And maybe that client might not be the right fit for their business, but they take them on anyways. So we see this a lot of times when accounting firms are trying to grow. And what we say is that from an operation standpoint, just like also with the proposal and billing and productizing. We try and help, firms productize those services to basically make operations also run smoother. So when you are scaling, from, 50 clients to 100, or, trying to go to 500K to a million to 5 million, you have a really smooth operations. And so from the bad fit clients aspect, if you have someone that doesn't meet the criteria, maybe they're outside of your niche, maybe they, can't afford your services that you are wanting to start providing from an advisory standpoint. So what we've done, we noticed we started out as a proposal and billing point solution similar to, Anchor, Ignition. What we quickly saw though was not only with helping them with their pricing, unlike those other tools do, we also looked at, okay, proposal and billing is only so good if you have leads coming through that door, and also you have the right fit leads coming through that door. So we decided, and we also listened to our community as well. They really wanted like a one solution for the top of the funnel to the bottom of the funnel, so lead to paid. And that's where we started adding on these service or these features for specifically the marketing and how to filter out. So think of like a HubSpot or Pipedrive. A lot of accounting firms are on those platforms overspending. Also, those solutions are built for them. They're huge, for bigger sales teams, like they can really, do a lot. And so we decided to build, that solution for accounting firms. So the bad fit leads that are coming in, we have a system, an AI system that will automatically recognize based off of how we've set it up. We, during the onboarding process, kind of talk to the accounting firm. What is your ideal client? What is that ideal niche that you want to focus on? What are the services that you really want to provide at what price point? And so, putting together a simple form and then being able to route. And that's where the exciting part comes in, is being able to route those clients. So or those leads. Basically, if they're a good fit, or depending upon how they score, they're going to immediately get a calendar invite. If they're somewhat okay, maybe let's put them into the wait list. So you can always pull from them, and that, kind of wait list of clients. And then maybe they're bad fits and you just want to refer them out. So you refer them out to, another firm that you're close with, people that within your network, so that you also get referrals back. So that's what we have found to be really, really helpful for accounting firms, to just filter out those bad fit clients. Let's not just take, it's not a feast or famine kind of scenario. And it just really helps with operations.
So what I hear you explaining is you need to be intentional about your lead generation, because ultimately, if you're getting garbage in, you're going to be working with garbage clients. And so you've got to be very selective as to who it is you're choosing to work with. So that being said, you spoke of a scoring system. Mm-hmm. Is this a standard system that you're having all of your clients kind of utilize, or is it something that they individually create for how they're trying to identify their ideal clients? Tell us a little bit about the scoring system.
Yeah. So the bones of the scoring system is essentially, the same, but then depending upon how you want that scoring system to rank folks, obviously, the inputs of what is your niche, the inputs of, the type of services at what price point you want to be offering. And then there's various other inputs that we have. And then the bones of it is basically, being able to send out in what direction they are going to be led. So we've also seen, and, quoting a Harvard and MIT study, found that, that study basically found out that if you don't respond within 60 seconds to a lead, you're dropping the conversion rate. So if you do respond within 60 seconds, it's 391% more likely that you're going to land that lead. And then it drops, after an hour to 80%. So that's also where, the initial part of this scoring part is really important, because if they are a really good fit lead, and based off of the score that they get, you're going to be responding to them automatically through our system, and then being able to route them directly to a calendar that's then, allocated for those best fit clients who you want to jump on a call with ASAP, basically. So giving them, 3 days to a week time frame to book a call with you, so that you can land them as quickly as possible. So that's kind of what our whole system is kind of geared off of as well, is we say the quicker that you can go from lead to paid, the more higher conversion you're going to get.
That's so true. So true. What you're kind of diving into here is the marketing and sales philosophies that actually accounting professionals may not be very schooled in, but are very essential to their success. So what you're basically addressing is marketing. You've got to be very intentional about who you're marketing to. The quality of that lead is dependent upon what you confirm as your or define as your ideal client. And then from there, you've got to be responsive. You've got to be somebody that's getting back to these people in a timely manner, because that interest can wane. And so obviously you're talking about, now that the marketing's been successful, you've identified a potential customer, you need to now, through your sales process, be able to not only nurture them, but engage with them in a timely manner. So all these things are extremely relevant to the success of taking all that money that you're spending from a marketing point of view and turning it into an engagement. So this is, I think, very, very helpful. So let me kind of dive now into something that you brought up a little bit earlier, and I want to go deeper into it. The different services that are obviously offered by accounting firms range. They go from the bookkeeping, the tax preparation, the accounting work, perhaps the tax advisory, perhaps CFO and advisory. But I know you speak of specifically building advisory practices that are scalable. And one of the things that I want to kind of point out here is, why is it not a bookkeeping business that's scalable, a tax business that's scalable? Why advisory? I'm curious the emphasis on advisory and how you define advisory.
Yeah, so great question. So what we've seen, I mean, in essentially, the bookkeeping business, the tax business, they can all offer advisory, right? And they're also, a lot of them are doing this without even maybe realizing it sometimes. And that they're giving a lot of advice. And this is what we found too with working with our CPA and working with our accountants and bookkeepers through the sale of our business, was a lot of times they were giving so much free advice to us, and we thought this should be on a reoccurring model, where we're constantly getting this insight. And also entrepreneurs want that. Entrepreneurs want someone to help them steer their ship in the right direction, and what better way to do that based off of your actual data and numbers. And so any of those types of businesses that innately you might not think, okay, advisory is how they're going to unlock reoccurring revenue. They can actually unlock a lot more reoccurring revenue that way. And so with a lot of the tax folks, we'll help them, implement tax planning. And what does that look like? And, doing, monthly services that can help them, help other businesses, right, to get to the endpoint. I mean, the endpoint of like tax season is just like the endpoint, but what are you doing throughout the year? That business needs to have that foundation of what kind of decisions they should be making. Same with bookkeeping. And so, yeah, this is where we see, accounting businesses as a whole can scale a lot better by introducing this reoccurring revenue model. And so we've, helped firms that have had, thousands of clients, right? They have like 1,000 clients. They are doing, every year the tax season, and they put out their engagements, and then they just, collect the check at the end when they submit and I'm sure you've heard this time and time again, where they just submit the tax return and then they get paid, right? But what happens throughout the year? So we've helped tons of firms, 3x those engagements per client, simply because they start realizing, oh, all of these folks are also looking to grow. They're looking to grow their business, and they want that type of advice to be able to grow their business. And just offering it as a package will really help boost the profitability and revenue of the firm.
I'm liking this part of the conversation because you have a unique perspective looking at this as a non-accountant, coming from having sold a business and so forth. So I appreciate that perspective, but I'm going to add to it a little bit of what I see as I'm working with accounting firms, and maybe help add to this part of the story, because what I think traditionally happens when individuals go out and begin offering accounting services is they take what they're comfortable with, what they have experience doing. They start their business offering what they're confident they're able to actually deliver. So that might look like a bookkeeping business or a tax preparation business, an accounting business. But what ultimately happens is that initial offering that they went to the business market with starts to evolve. They start to see that there are additional things that they can do for their clients, and these can be additional revenue streams. And so what they might dabble in and just doing complimentarily, they just start offering free advice or whatever, starts to turn into, well, maybe I have to charge for that. And so they now actually take the time to create or package these services into distinct services. I do bookkeeping. I do bookkeeping and accounting. I do bookkeeping, accounting, and tax. And all of a sudden, they start to evolve, whether it's themselves doing the service or they've hired and employed individuals that are, let's say, experts in those areas. All of a sudden, the firm starts to grow and starts to diversify in the services that can provide. The question becomes, when the business is looking from the outside in and trying to decide what services they're interested in paying for, what do they want? All of a sudden, we have to do a better job as accounting professionals to say, this is bookkeeping, this is what you can expect. This is how accounting differs from bookkeeping, and this is what you'd be paying for here. This is tax preparation, which is totally different than tax advisory, by the way. Mm-hmm. So do you want just me to file the tax return, or do you want to meet with me throughout the year and strategically look at minimizing or mitigating your tax liability? Oh, that's tax advisory and strategy. Do you want advisory work? Is there something that you want at that CFO level? Well, these packages now become a lot more distinct, and the better we're able to describe well what they consist of mm-hmm. and price them so that the client can actually say, that is what I'm interested in, we're going to not only be better at providing the services, we're going to be better at avoiding scope creep. We're not going to experience this crossover of doing things for free because it's from another package that we also offer. But also, if that opportunity presents, we can say, by the way, I've done this for you twice. Moving forward, do you like it? Great. It's going to be these fees then associated with this additional package that you haven't been paying for, but I believe is relevant. Yeah. All these types of things as it relates to accounting professions allows them to move, like you're describing, into more of these advisory practices that are scalable and, more importantly, profitable. How do you feel about that?
No, I love everything that you just said. It's exactly kind of the rundown that we go through when we're onboarding folks. And one of the things that made me think of, as you were talking, one of the things too, how you're saying a lot of folks come into the market, they've, studied accounting, maybe they've studied tax, and then they're like, okay, these are the services I want to offer. And then they start realizing over time, oh, I am offering all this free advice. One other aspect too, that we also see is folks kind of give accessibility across all of their clients the same. So they'll say, okay, I can get your tax return done in this amount of time, or I can get you this monthly report in this amount of time. And they do it across the board, or you get access to me 24/7, or you get access to me, I'll respond in 1 hour to your questions, or I'll just pick up the phone. And so this is something that we also layer in when helping folks build out their tiers, is looking at accessibility, response time, all that kind of stuff, because also all of that does play a huge role in how you're going to scale, your operations, and allocate which clients are priority and which ones, are a little bit lower down the totem pole. Of course, you want to help your clients across the board as much as you can and be the best for all of them. But it does come down to, pricing and the kind of access, because obviously if you can get a report to them quicker, they want it in a week, or they want, every single month they want a report, that costs money, because obviously the value, the outcome that you're providing that business is, okay, they're able to make quicker decisions, right, on their own business and grow quicker. So all of this is thinking about it the other way of what is the outcome you're providing, and then that value, right, and then how that looks like from a pricing perspective.
Yeah, I bring it down to clarity. Mm-hmm. Is it very clear what's going on, what's being provided as a service, what's being paid for? Yeah. But that allows you to manage expectations as well. The client now knows what to expect, and what's needing to be done. So I think this just makes everything a lot easier. So I really appreciate this part of the conversation, because I think for my listeners, it's enabling them to kind of think and reflect on their own business and the engagements they have with their own clients, and ask, are they as clear as this is sounding? Is this something that they can perhaps clean up in their engagements themselves or in the services that they're offering? So I think this is very, very timely. Get your free copy of the book In the Black, 9 Principles to Make Your Business Profitable. This is a how-to guide for accounting professionals to work with their clients and actually implement proven processes and systems to ensure that their clients make profit a priority. It is in this book you'll actually learn how to map the business and, in fact, make marketing, accounting, and production a priority within your client's business. You also learn the wisdom pyramid, how to actually take the information you're providing to your clients and effectively use it so that they can make more informed business decisions. This book is designed to help you communicate more effectively with your clients and, in fact, have them see you as their profit and growth expert. Get your free copy now of the ebook today, In the Black, 9 Principles to Make Your Business Profitable. So I want to go now to kind of another level, because I think we're using a lot of terms here that maybe my listeners aren't as familiar. And when you're talking about lead to paid system, one of the things that you were alluding to earlier is a CRM.
Yeah.
Can you explain what is a CRM? I mean, it's a tech stack type tool that these firms should be incorporating into their business, especially as they get larger. But what is a CRM to begin with?
Yeah, great question. We get this question a lot because there are practice management tools. So we often clarify and say, marketing and sales CRM, because a lot of accountants hear from, software providers that, let's say, Carbon is a CRM or Double is a CRM. When in actuality, so the marketing and sales CRM is we're managing your client's pipeline or your pipeline for your clients, right? So, or from lead to getting paid. A lot of CRMs, they do have like a simple billing solution like HubSpot or Pipedrive, but we have obviously one that has been built off of the accounting industry with sending out engagements and getting proposals signed and all of that, and being able to take payment details up front. And then, from a CRM perspective, to answer your question, it's basically, like I mentioned, you're managing where all your leads. So let's say you're having efforts in social media. Maybe you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Maybe you're also on X. And then maybe you're doing paid ads as well. Well, where are all of those leads funneling into, right? Is it just a simple form on your website that's then being collected by WordPress or Squarespace or Wix? Or where's that living? Or is it then just getting funneled into an Excel? And so that's where a CRM is very powerful, because it has the tech behind it to be able to, exactly like we were discussing earlier, score, route leads, then being able to manage your pipeline so you can really see from a dollar amount as well, what all these leads that are coming through that are the right fit clients, what do they amount to? And you can start projecting out, what does your business look like in X amount of time based off of all these leads that are coming in. And it's great too, because then you can, depending upon how much efforts you are doing from a marketing perspective, also don't want to forget referrals, depending upon how those are coming in. A lot of folks if they don't have a system in place, we hear it all the time. They're like, oh my gosh, I just lost like 30 great referrals. I just noticed, got busy with operations, and there was no system in place to catch those leads, nurture them. Because of course, if you don't also send out nurturing emails to them, like newsletters or content, educational, information, what's going to happen to those leads? They were warm. They were excited to maybe want to work with you. They were referred to you, and then they got cold because you got busy. Maybe it was tax season or busy doing books. And then operations got tight, and then they kind of sit in your inbox, and maybe you reach out to them in a month or so. They might have already gone to another firm at that point. So that's why having this system in place to manage your pipeline from lead to paid is really important. Just so that, we don't think about it, but a lot of times if you just don't respond, like I was mentioning that Harvard and MIT study, it's pretty mind-opening to say, oh, wow, if I don't respond in, 60 seconds, this is, how much that conversion drops because of it. And so, that really helps to have that whole system in place.
I appreciate that explanation, because I think as accountants, we're very good at tracking and recording transactions. We're really good at the details.
Mm-hmm.
unless it comes to marketing and sales.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, what you're describing there is a system that we can hopefully leverage and perhaps even get to the point of automating to our advantage as it relates to these contacts we're making through our marketing and sales. And just to give it a little bit more clarity, CRM is referred to as a client retention
Mhm.
management system or a client relationship management system. And what generally it consists of is like you're describing. I'm old enough that I used to get business cards and collect them and set them on the side of my desk. And the question is when am I going to get to that person? When am I going to reach out? And it's organizing these business cards into stacks. Well, we don't deal with physical things anymore. I mean, I haven't collected a business card and I can't tell you how long. So the point is where's this all existing? And it's a system like this where you're able to actually capture the information and really track a number of things, such as what are the interests? I spoke to this business owner. I believe the conversation was more around bookkeeping services, not tax, but bookkeeping. So I'm going to enter them into the system, their contact information and so forth, but I'm going to show an interest. They're interested in bookkeeping. So as I reach out to them, I want to educate them as to my bookkeeping expertise, what my services are as it relates to bookkeeping. I want to be able to address the need that I understood that they may have had. The other contact that I had, they're interested in tax preparation and tax advisory services. Well, I'm going to emphasize now my expertise in those fields. So the interest is very important to associate with that contact. And the other happens to be the source. Where did I meet them? Where did they come from? Is it a referral? Is it some marketing and advertising campaign that I was perhaps doing? And it's because of this that you're identifying these things, you can now create lists. These are the 20 people I have, the 100 people that I have, the 1,000 people that I have that are interested in bookkeeping services, those things that I can do from tax perspective. All of a sudden, you're now able to do mass mailings and create automated campaigns to actually send out various things to educate them, put them on a newsletter list. There are so many tools that can then be leveraged in your behalf as it relates to a CRM. So I think what you're describing here is very helpful. It basically takes all of this stuff that we used to do manually, and it's putting them in a central place that we can now strategically organize and manage them. So let's take it from lead to paid system.
Mhm.
Clearly, we're talking from a marketing point of view, capturing this information, but then it's actually getting them to the point of now becoming a customer, and now they're paying for our services. What does your system perhaps do that takes it beyond just a contact that I have in the system, but now as a customer and a client?
Yeah, great question. And then also to what you were saying in terms of, how the clients, how you can start, what, making sure where you know where those leads are coming from. It's really important too, because we've come across a ton of firms, they're $5 million firm. They have a bunch of referrals coming in. They have their channel partners, but a lot of times before to prep, folks for calls, they don't know. No one across the board has an aligned look on who this client came from, and getting that, information aligned across, multiple team members. So I just want to echo that. That's really important. And we see it all the time where folks have great, amazing channel partnerships, but a lot of times it gets lost in translation. And of course they want to, pay it forward to those channel partners. But yeah, so from a lead to paid standpoint, what we really look at is, like you mentioned, okay, you get the lead coming through your funnel, then they're coming down, and then they get to a point where you jump on a call and you're on a discovery call with them, right? So you're trying to figure out, what do they want? What are they looking for? What kind of services would benefit their business? And then as soon as that client, you're done with that call, we also always say book a proposal call on your discovery call. It's really important to go over that. So our system will also be listening to those calls, like it would take any of your note taker information, and also can provide insight on what are some good upsell opportunities as well. And our main goal is, can we have that? And right now we just, have those templates that we help you build. You can pull from those templates and send them out to a client. Our goal, and what we're working on a feature right now, is can it just create the draft for you, the proposal draft, based off of the templates, based off of your positioning, all that good stuff that we were talking about earlier, and then send out that proposal. And then, of course, you're going to be going over that on a proposal call. So that's where kind of the system has been married when we started proposal and billing and having that engagement process, to the whole lead side and that lead coming in. So it's taking all that information and then being able to populate even more of a customized, perfect proposal for that specific client. And then during that proposal process, right, you are collecting the payment details up front. You're getting the engagement signed. They are also, before they're able to do any of that, they have to select which tier they want to go with. And then they're signed. And then it's off to the races. All of those invoices are then automatically generated and sending out. And so our whole goal is, can you just have leads coming through and you are just jumping on, your calendar is fully booked based off of your system that's set in place. And you're jumping on calls for the discovery, the proposal, and then landing those clients.
I love it. What you're describing is a centralized experience for you to be able to manage not only the front end of the whole lead process, but that acquisition of them becoming a client. And then as a client, taking care of the payment processing, the onboarding, the engagement letter, and so forth. Is that right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start wrapping this up. This has been a great conversation. But before I begin that, I'd like to ask this. Irene, what are you grateful for?
Yeah, I'm actually, one of the things that I'm very grateful for is whenever a customer of ours is writing about Account Groove and how it's changed their life, actually. It's given them more time with their kids. I have a toddler at home who's, 2 years old, and being able to have more time with him because we now have, AI, we have systems, we have, technology, automation. I loved everything that we talked about, from an automation standpoint, to be able to just give folks more time back, give time back to yourself, give it so you can also spend more time with your clients. So that's one thing I'm really grateful for is, the lives that we've helped. We also have a lot of, depending upon where the firm is at, sometimes firms want to grow and sell their firm. We have a ton of those. We also have a ton of firms that are like, I want to do this so that I could just have more time with my family. And I just want a stable, reoccurring business that's working for me without me having to be on the computer, 24/7. And so, yeah, that's what I'm really grateful for is the ability to kind of provide that automation for folks.
I love that. It's great to be part of something that is impacting people in a positive way, giving them back, if anything, time. And that's wonderful. So thank you for that. All right. So here's what I'd like to do. First thing is actually put forth an offer. This is something that I'd like to have you as listeners take advantage of. Irene is offering a 1 month free to Account Groove, where you can actually go and sign up for a demo of the service by going to the episode description. And there in the episode description, schedule some time to speak with her and her team as it relates to what Account Groove actually is and how it could benefit your business. And in doing so, receive a free month with your sign up. So definitely go take advantage of it. In addition, I want to encourage you to take advantage of the Accountrepreneurs Challenge. The Accountrepreneurs Challenge is something that we've been offering to assist you as you're working on your business. Why? Because it's actually addressing things that are on a personal nature. You as a leader, as an individual, what is it that you could actually do in these next 90 days to improve yourself as well as your business, working on your business to address various things that make up your company, your offer, and more importantly, your client relationships. These next 90 days can be very impactful in making, in fact, this year the best year ever for your firm. So I encourage you to take advantage of this time to schedule or sign up rather for the Accountrepreneurs Challenge. It is free, and it consists essentially of, over the next 90 days, emails on a weekly basis, giving you an activity or an exercise that you can work on, some of which are literally only 5, 10, 15 minutes. Others might be an hour or more. Some are courses, some are book reads, but basically what they are is things that you can be doing to work on yourself and your business. So I encourage you now to go to the universalaccounting.com/podcast and sign up for the Accountrepreneurs Challenge. In addition, I want to invite you to GrowCon. GrowCon is an annual event, a conference for owners of bookkeeping, accounting, and tax businesses. This conference is dedicated to helping you work on your business, learning from the experts what it is you can be doing to market and sell your services more effectively so that you can actually get the clients you deserve. It's also a conference wherein we actually focus on what are those services that you're providing to your client so as to ensure that you're actually better servicing them and getting paid what you're worth. And then lastly, the production, focusing on those things that you can do efficiently and effectively within your firm to make sure you actually have in place the standard operating procedures that you need, the tech stack that you deserve, the staff, the training, all those things essential so that you can actually be profitable offering quality accounting services. So come and join us for GrowCon. In addition to joining us, you'll actually come and actually meet your peers. These are individuals like you who are successfully operating businesses, thriving in this space. And you get to hear and learn from them, make friendships, and perhaps even collaborate so as to better service your clients. And lastly, you get to meet myself and my team, those individuals who are committed to helping you be in business for yourself, but not by yourself with Universal Accounting Center. So join us for GrowCon. Go to universalaccounting.com, and in the navigation, you'll find information regarding the GrowCon experience. Now, with all that being said, as a summary, there are a few things that I'd like to actually share, and then I'm going to come back to Irene for a closing thought. One of the things that really stood out is her experience of having operated a successful business, selling that business, and recognizing the value that accounting contributed to that transaction. She's seen that value, actually then chose to actually go forth and now service the accounting community with Account Groove Groove. And with that, she was able to actually start the business with the intent of actually addressing some key things that businesses in accounting struggle with. Obviously, working with the right clients, bad fits, working with clients, but getting underpaid what we're worth. These are things that are clearly challenging, but more importantly, it's that whole experience of getting the right lead, working those leads effectively, getting them to become clients quickly. And that speed to lead and paid client is something that she's focused on with her services to assist us as accounting professionals to not even just make the right contacts, but to onboard them as clients and get paid what we're worth. So as it relates to her business, I thought that was helpful. I enjoyed that part of the conversation as it related to CRMs, understanding what those tools are as it relates to our business, and then her gratitude, being able to explain that she really takes a great deal of satisfaction and pride, perhaps, in working with individuals to free up their time and help them actually work more efficiently in what it is that they're doing. So love the conversation. Irene was a delight to have on the show. Irene, do you have a closing thought that you'd like to leave?
Yeah, I would just like to leave with, I'm excited also for GrowCon. Excited to see folks there. And it's been a pleasure to be on here with you today and really enjoyed the conversation. And I really hope that we can help out more accounting firms with their lead to paid process to help grow businesses and help you scale.
I love it. Well, thank you for your support of GrowCon, and everyone, definitely as listeners, go out there and check out Account Groove and see what it is that you can use this to do to help you in your firm. And with that, I also want to actually say, if you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast. We'd love to have you as a subscriber. Each and every week we have on the experts to share with us insights that we need to consider to work on our business. And I'd love to have you set your notifications so you actually can join us each and every week as we speak to the experts. In addition to that, if you have enjoyed today's episode, I want to encourage you to go back and binge listen the past episodes. We've got over 300 episodes that we've compiled into playlists based on topics. These are things that you can go binge listen as it relates to marketing, selling, tech stacks, mental health, training staff, onboarding clients, retaining clients, just a variety of things that are essentially there to assist you to work on your business based on the current situation you find yourself in. So you can go to universalaccounting.com, and there in the navigation, find the podcast section where we've actually compiled these highlights and these playlists for you to binge listen to. In addition to that, if you have any questions regarding the various programs that Universal offers or the topics that we've discussed here on the show, feel free to reach out to us. You can go to universalaccountingschool.com, or you can give us a phone call by calling 801-265-3777. And always remember this: accounting success is universal. Take care, have a great day, and be safe out there.